Hey guys, just doing this from the next chair over. I'm going to just sit back and relax if you don't mind and just be a little bit more slow in my presentation on this one. I'm not in the greatest mood. I'm a little depressed, and that comes when you see potentially somebody else who we thought was generally on our side. I don't want to say potentially is not, but something is just not right. So let me just get right to the point. I would think most people subscribed here are subscribed to Max Igan's Crow House channel. I've certainly followed Max Igan for years. For many years, always looked forward to his presentations. Believed he was always incredibly gifted at describing to people the general predicament they're in, meaning the society construct is presented to be this wonderful freedom, but when you look at it closely, it's anything but. Sure, you can go out and choose the color car that you want to pay $30,000 to drive off the lot, but in terms of what's important, you don't have much freedom. And Max has always done a good job at breaking down the societal construct. But I was very disturbed at what I heard today there. So let me just get right to the point. I don't want to not present this as I'm coming out to go after Max Igan, or again, if most people here are subscribed there and something is rotten in the state of Denmark, something doesn't smell right, I've got to tell you, as I said, per the graduated animal farms, we've been infiltrated everywhere. And there's few channels left where we can actually go out there and trust the information. It's quite shocking, the situation we're in. I will just say, honestly, right now, for a mega truth channel, the only channel that I still believe has a genuine desire to bring forth the truth of this world is Really Graceful. I'm not sure about anybody, even that one, or Grace, but it certainly seems like Grace is still on our side, and will be. All the others, I'm not sure. I don't know if there's anybody out there. It's just amazing, the situation, and how everything has been completely corrupted and infiltrated. So let me just get right to Max Igan. There was an event in New Zealand. There was a shooting. I guess now that the Google bot knows exactly what I'm going to talk about, why beat around the bush? I don't know. It was 3 weeks ago. I don't really watch the news anymore. I looked into it. I don't know, like literally for just 10 minutes. Didn't it? And some people, that I trust commented to me, and it just looked like same old, same old. Here we go again. Another orchestrated event. And I thought, I don't care to look into it. We know the nature of the beast. Let's just move on. And I have since, by the way, watched the video. You can, of course, the video is banned. He wore a GoPro on his head, or helmet cam. Why he supposedly shot up this mosque in New Zealand. And you can still see the video. There are sites on the internet that aren't, believe it or not, there are sites on the internet that are not Facebook and YouTube, and the video still exists. And I have since watched it, and it's just like we thought. If I start breaking it down, maybe this video will be in jeopardy. So why break it down? To me, it looked ridiculous. It just, let's just keep it at that. It looked ridiculous. I'll just leave it at that. That's not the point of this video. The point is, I see that Max Igan at Crow House has recently put out 2 videos with an analysis of the New Zealand event. So, okay, let's see what Max has to say. Very bright, explains things very well, intelligent. Let's see what he has to say. Okay. Gets right into, you don't have to watch his hour-long show. I'm going to tell you what he presented and objectively tell you how he presented it. You should go out there and check it out. I'm not going to leave a link, but this is what he did, and I was a little shocked by it. But there's nothing that exciting if you want to go check it out. It's just going to confirm, if you want to listen to a full hour, what I'm going to tell you in 5 minutes. At first, he said, just like we would expect and hope, that what happened certainly isn't what the news says. Kind of shook my head. I was doing something over here, typing something. Oh, good. I'm glad Max is presenting it this way. They're never what the news says. Of course, there's something else. But then he immediately took the presentation shifted to it's a false flag, meaning there were real deaths, real shootings, a real shooter. So what was recorded from the helmet cam was real, but a false flag. Okay, Max is saying it would be a Manchurian candidate, or the dark ones that control all aspects of society sent somebody in there to do some dark work, like a false flag, 9/11 or whatever. And I went, that's an interesting take, but it's the dark ones are the dark ones. They're capable of anything, right? Max is a smart guy, and let's just see how he presents this. Of course, I would immediately assume my default would be fake. Of course. Okay, just continue to listen. So then 10 minutes goes by, 20 minutes, pretty much 30 minutes at least of a hardcore analysis of what you would see if watching the video and why it just must be real. And there was a lot of things that really disturbed me thrown into the middle of the analysis, basically saying, anybody that would just come forth and present disinformation that this wasn't real or this was CGI, and anybody that would present that disinformation, I'm like, well, why is he, I just stopped and thought, I think, why is he so intent and eager to prove to all of us this thing is real and real people were killed? Why is he so eager to do this? Because as you'll see in a moment, that's not what the wise man in the truth community or the wise woman would do. I'll tell you about that in a moment. And why not just, instead of him just saying, look, I'm going to try to, I really think this one's real, guys. I know most of them have been fake, but I believe this one's real, like a false flag, and I just want to tell you why. If he presented it like objectively, like he was doing both sides, then I wouldn't have, my neck hairs wouldn't have stood up. But it was kind of trashing the other side. Anybody that would present the disinformation that this is real, and then just at every turn, like arguing with those that may suggest it's not real. Like, people say that think it's not real, they say you can't see the casings. Well, yes, you can see the casings. And people that say it's not real say he shot through the window glass and it didn't shatter. But yes, it did. He's just like, and I'm like, the lady doth protest too much. Maybe 10 minutes of this, but when you push 30 minutes, like just pressing the point that it must be real, breaking down, even small details about the loading of magazines and little details that just prove it must be real, and those that are saying otherwise are disinformation. And I just went, why is he doing this? And what really got me, I don't even think I would even make this video. I would just let it go if it wasn't for these little side diatribes he would start into about, and the people that just say everything is fake. We know I'm just paraphrasing, but he said something like, we know who these these controllers are. I know I'm not supposed to use those words, but let's just go with it for this video. We know who they are. We know who the dark ones are. And does anybody think they really care about human life with the wars they've orchestrated? Well, why wouldn't they love to orchestrate more death and real death? He said something like that. Why would anybody think that it's just not real? On what basis? And would like to raise my hand and go, Max, maybe because the last 10 before this one were fake. Like, we're not just coming up with this just out of the blue. It's in their nature to present hoax events. It's like, why would even somebody think it's fake anyway? Of course, the dark ones love death. Well, yeah, to a degree, I hear you, but why would anybody take that tactic, Max? Or I mean, take that approach on this event? It's beyond that. Hoax should be the default on every event because it has been a hoax the last 10 events. See what I'm saying? Didn't present any of that. I mean, of course the last 10 were hoaxes. According to, Chuck P again and again and again and again, and the last 100 events potentially were hoaxes. Sure, they love death. That's through their wars and in other, but these events that appear in the news in a certain way have, with probably rare exception, have been hoaxes. So Max, don't go all up and up. Your backup. I mean, like, how can anybody take the default that it's CGI and present that disinformation? Oh, because they all have been that way. See how that works? So I just didn't understand, after listening to this for 30 minutes or more, why he was so intent on trying to get everybody to believe it was real. A black ops agent, a Manchurian candidate, somebody under MK Ultra mind control. See, if you've reached a certain standing in the truth community, or generally, let's just say there's people that would kind of look to your opinion on how certain things go down. Okay, well, then I just don't understand why, the doth protest too much, the hardcore trying out to really convince everybody it's so real and to get those that would say otherwise. Why not just say, kind of honest, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I made a video a few back and I didn't want to get into breaking down another event or anything, but I said, maybe, or what I'd say, we don't really know for sure. I haven't looked at it much, but it seems to be the same old bullshit. It seems to be the same old bullcrap fake presentation like they all are. I don't, the wise man or woman would say, we don't really know, and we know it's in their nature to fake a lot of this, but if Max was being real or genuine, I think he would say, well, this one, guys, looks real to me, or this one could be real. And I just want to tell you why I think that, even though most have been kind of fake, and this one could be real. He might say, if he was being objective, let's just, I don't think it's safe to just the default being it's fake. If Max was being real, he might say, we need to be careful here. In some of these events, real people could be in jeopardy, and we have to be wary of this. And I think this one could be real, and let's explore this. But it wasn't that. It was like, just dig and dig, and let me show you how real it is. And those that don't say it's real are disinfo. And I was like, what's he doing? So you get the point on that. You get the point. And as of right now, I don't know, if he is an animal farm, why he was so intent on trying to prove to a truth community that it's real. Because, he's coming out saying that it's false flag. He's certainly not saying it's just some random white alt-right supremacist that decided to shoot up Muslims. He's certainly not saying what the news tells us it is. So, but the way the presentation went down, it really smelled bad. Okay? Now there's that. And if it was just that, maybe I wouldn't be making this video. And I'm not out to get Max Igan. If I think that potentially 25 or 30,000 people here are subscribed also to Max Igan, then I have to say something. I have to say something. If I sniff something rotten, I have to say it. So that's my purpose here. So the other thing that I mentioned Max Igan's name a few years back. Again, even though I've always watched his presentations on what we would consider to be the prison planet and appreciated how eloquently he presented the situation we're in. So I'm really shocked that this potential, I can't even believe that this potentially could be a graduated animal farm. But based on what I saw today, I have to put that right up on the table. And hopefully everyone will consider that. Okay, a couple years ago I mentioned Max Igan's name because he was going to, he said he was going to appear at a TED Talk. Now, a TED Talk, it reeks of being of the system construct. Bill Gates presenting that creepy TED Talk lecture about to reduce carbon, emissions. You have to take one of these things has to go to zero. Population times this. I mean, some of the creepiest presentations have been TED Talks. Geordie Rose with his D-Wave. TED Talks is a mouthpiece of the system itself. It's just a strange looking hybrid of 60 Minutes. I may be wrong about that. I'm convinced of that. And somebody right now, yelling at me saying, "Well, Matt, this person or that person went on TED, and we know they're almost truthers or they're friendly to our side." And well, maybe again, all truth has to be revealed by the system as well. So maybe there have been some genuine people. I don't follow TED Talks. I don't watch them. I believe it's of the system. I believe it's system propaganda. But maybe there was somebody. There's so many different TEDs or hybrids of TED Talks. It's like Cirque du Soleil and all the different troops they have all over. Now they have, I think, multiple TED Talks. Maybe there was somebody talking about the evils of GMO foods. That doesn't mean if they have one or two or three or four good people where they're fulfilling their karma law that they have to present some truth, that the TED Talks are just good because one person talked about the ills of GMO. Maybe they did. So what? That's not going to change my... If I see 100 of those types of speeches, then maybe I'll change my opinion. But no, TED Talks reeks of the system, Goebbels propaganda. It's a modern day. That's what it is. It stinks. So back to Max. I'm like, well, he was invited to go on TED Talks, but then he said he didn't because he was tired and didn't want to travel. I can tell you one thing. TED Talks ain't calling here. All right? TED Talks, that phone's not going to ring in a second and it's going to be TED Talks. Hey, Matt, this is Ted. Would you like to talk? Sure. I'd like to talk. I'm not sure you really like what I have to say. Can I speak freely? Will you look at my notes before I take to your little stage? They're not going to call here. Okay. Max himself said he was going to do TED Talks. Am I concerned by that? Yes, highly. Okay. There was, and recently, I heard Max spoke at Anarchapulco. Okay. Whatever. Jeff Berwick, doing his thing down there, the dollar vigilante. I stopped following that economic collapse crap 3 years ago when SGT Report kept bringing on the same hosts every week. Collapse was imminent, 2 weeks away from collapse. If Brexit happens, we're going to collapse. Nothing ever happens. The stock market does dip down 3,000 points, and then it goes up 4,000, 2 days later after Brexit. And then Sean at SGT Report never pushes the guests and say, well, Bill Holter, you said collapse was coming, and you got to tell the audience now why it didn't come. It just glossed over it like he never said it, and then you just start going into other topics. You just present all that economic collapse stuff never happened. I never really covered that for 3 or 4 or 5 years. So, the point, what was the point? The point I was talking about Max Igan and Anarchapulco. Okay, and I was relating that to Jeff Berwick and the Dollar Vigilante. Okay, fine. So he organizes something, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I don't follow it. Anarchapulco. Oh, okay. I don't know how genuine these guys are. I never paid attention to the event, but if they want to go down and bitch about the government, whatever, hey, great. Call attention to our fight any way you can. I didn't really think it could be disingenuous until I looked at the recent speakers, of which Max Igan was a speaker. Okay, if he's a speaker, who else were speakers to at Anarchapulco? Ron Paul? Really? And I hope most people will know. There's a few people right now going, well, why would that be a problem, Matt? I'm just going to have to walk through why that would be a problem. I don't, there's some new people here. Also, Judge Andrew Napolitano at a program on Fox show, was an anchor for Fox, or contributor Fox, maybe still is, for 10 years. Why would that make me skeptical? A speaker at Anarchapulco. It's like when I go to if I was organizing a anarchy seminar outside of Philadelphia here, we're just gonna talk about how we can fix everything. I'm gonna go to the Clinton Library and ask for speakers. What if I did that? Would you be skeptical of me? So what's the problem with Ron Paul, Matt? At every turn he said how the government needs to cut back and how corrupt everything is. Really? How about the fact that he was in Congress? I don't know. It was like forever. He was there for like pushing 35 years or more, and he never once even hinted that the Republican versus Democrat, two sides of the aisle, is a completely fake construct. Never went there at all. I would think Ron Paul being there for that long, running for president, um, I think if we know that the Republican versus Democrat is a complete ridiculous fake construct, and in the back room they just, Joe the bartender, do you have that $1,000 bottle of cognac, brandy cognac, special import that I ordered? Well, don't worry, it's paid for by tax dollars. Don't we're not paying. Of course, we'll tip you, but we're not paying for it. Yeah, oh, it's in. Okay, break out that $1,000 bottle, and John McCain pours shots for all his friends, like Chuck Schumer of Democrat, Nancy Pelosi. They're all working together. They all sip in the same bottle. So Ron Paul just didn't know that. Wasn't aware of that. If anything was real about Ron Paul, he would deserve to speak at Anarchapulco. He would have simply, 15 years ago, he would have called a press conference, said, I just can't take this anymore. Maybe when he was running for president, a lot of press was very interested. He could have called a major press conference and made sure it was live, or had his own people tape it, so when they shut it off and shut it down, he could then put it out how everybody shut it down and how the media is not genuine. He could say, look, for interest of my own safety, I can't say much here, but this whole Washington, D.C., you see behind us, the charade of Republican, no, sorry, this battle we see behind us over all of D.C., Republican versus Democrat, it's one giant charade. This is Ron Paul addressing all the cameras. It's one giant show. It's a fake and false construct. And as of this moment, I can no longer put forth this charade to the American people. I'm no longer running for president, and I resign. I can say no more, per my personal safety, if Ron Paul was saying this, but I just want you to think about what I just said, and I resign. And he would just walk away. Now that's a hero. That's a patriot. Even that's not even going far enough. Of course, no mention of 9/11 for how many years, right? Nothing. I wouldn't even expect them to do that. But just to say the R versus D is a giant show, and to walk away, okay, you probably belong at an event like Anarchapulco if it's real. He never did anything like that. He never did anything, Ron Paul. He's a speaker. So if Ron Paul is a speaker, then that destroys the credibility of the show or the event. Why would Max Igan speak where you think Matt's going to speak where Ron Paul's a speaker? Yeah, maybe I would like to and say, Ron, why didn't you expose the system? Well, Matt, I'm no longer there. Well, maybe your son Rand can exit the Senate and he can expose the fraud and then resign. How about that? I mean, what? Judge Andrew Napolitano, a Fox News contributor, who would speak at an event where those people are speaking? How can the event be for real if those people are at the event? Well, Matt, he doesn't really know the way the world really works. Yeah, but we can figure it out from our bedrooms, you know. And not that we're geniuses, but the ridiculous nature of the way it's presented, like this Mueller report, just breaking into my basketball game, the Mueller report. I wanted to tell you guys about this, and I guess I'm just sitting back in my chair, relaxing. It's going to be a little while. Get some things off my chest. The predicament we're in is just, I don't mean that negatively. It's a life test, but it's so unfathomable, the situation we find ourselves in. It's just bizarre to the 10th power of a billion. I have no words to even express how strange the world is out my window. So breaking into my basketball game is the Mueller report. And literally a group of reporters and experts and analysts, they had one guy up on Capitol Hill at CBS, and they talked for 30 minutes during the NCAAs on Friday. And they said what could have been said in 10 seconds. So when this Mueller delivered his report, and all they knew on Friday was he delivered the report. It's done. They didn't know anything in it. They didn't know one word in it. They could have broke in for 10 seconds and said, breaking news, after 2-year investigation of Russians hacked the election, the report is finished. We don't know what's in it. We don't know if it implicates Trump or not, but it's going in front of the House and blah, 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 blah. Wrap it up. They talked amongst themselves for 30 minutes. They had no information other than the report was done and when it was going to be presented to Congress. Well, what if this? What if that? 30 minutes of saying nothing. They're experts at saying nothing. It's incredible. And then they broke in, I think they broke back into the NCAAs. Oh my God, Matt watches basketball. It's so horrible. Sorry. Yeah, I watch some sports. It's so evil. You have to leave the channel because I watch some sports. I'm sorry, I'm not in a good mood. So they break back in on Sunday and say, oh, the report, didn't tie Trump to the Russians. I don't care whether it would have tied him, it would have been fake, or if it didn't tie him, it's all a construct, it's all fake. Who could think after 2+ years of Russians hacked the election over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? It's a joke. The presentation is a joke. So the point is, when reality is presented, so poorly, it's very revealing to people like you and me that just pay a little bit of attention and apply a little bit of common sense. So these are also things where I've never heard Max go that far. He's great at talking about the endless corruption in a society that's structured to be more like a prison. But I've never heard him, he's mentioned Trump's name. I've never heard him go as far as to say the whole political system is completely a charade. There's president isn't really elected. It's completely a fraud put forth onto the American people. Even if real votes are allowed to be cast, it's 2 puppets that they put up pre-screened beforehand. So each socks of a different color will be able to be play the same role as sock hand puppet for the powers that be or the system. I'm not renaming them in this video. Okay, I'll call them cockroaches in another video where we're having more fun. But I don't think Max Igan has ever called out the political system to that degree, and just basically said the whole thing's a fake construct. So is it that he just doesn't see it? Or he won't go that far for whatever his role is? He won't go that far. And I wouldn't be making this video except what I heard today. Just trying so hard to convince me and everyone else that real people were killed. And not giving any credence or leaving on the table that it is in their nature to fake everything. Just know, if you go there with the New Zealand event, according to Max, if you go there, you're disinformation. So that immediately told me, Max, maybe you're disinformation. Because the wise man or woman that's been in this truth battle for how many years or decades would just never present like that. You would be aware that the other events, he did acknowledge Captain Hook is completely fake. But then, even how can you acknowledge that in a video and then call the fact that you would lead with somebody saying it's not real as a disinformation? But then, how many other of these events? And I don't want to, I don't want to use any names. We all know the events. We all know how ridiculous almost all of them have been. We don't need to go back there. And no, I'm not, to anybody saying, I'm not going back or regressing and breaking down, you know, shootings. And no, I'm trying to get people to be. If you still go over to the Crow House, you need to be very skeptical and listen very carefully, because I'm not so sure what's going on over there anymore. I'm being kind. Okay, I'm putting it mildly. How long have I been talking? Oh God, 31 minutes. If it goes to 33, I'm going to be in real trouble. That's just, it doesn't matter what Matt says, it's just the timing of the video. The timing of the video is between 33 and 34 is a shill. Other than that, I believe it, and he's a very credible truth spokesperson. But if it goes between 33 and 34, my God, 31, I've got a minute and a half to finish this. I'll probably, let me just go blow past 34, and I won't have to worry. Oh man, how do we get here? So, this, I do need to do a few more minutes. The other thing was, on these issues, I'm just sit back and wait, sit back and watch. And they're all presented kind of together by YouTube channels. Tartaria, Mudflood, the orphans or the foundlings, the orphan trains repopulating a society after a cataclysm, the ancient architecture or the impossible architecture of Tartaria, and that I am very interested in. They'll tie everything together, like these channels tie them all together. I love New Earth channel. I watch New Earth. I'll adopt Penguin. New Earth just should go find a new megalith and basically say humans couldn't build that. Humans of any current or ancient technology that we're allowed to know about couldn't do that. New Earth does that all the time. That's great. I love watching the New Earth. She'll go find a wall and say humans couldn't do that. Something else did that, or technology we're not allowed to know about did that. Okay, I'm interested in that, but that's all tied together with these channels, with the Tartaria, the Mudfloods. So anyway, the point is, certain channels started going down this, and I'm not saying, I'm sitting back and watching, and I watch the videos, and I watch Conspiracy or Us, or Philip Drajugi, or I watch and I listen. I don't know who those people are, and I don't know what their role is. Well, Matt, why aren't you saying they're genuine people? I don't know if they're genuine. I don't know if it's an animal farm. I wear the skeptic hat all the time now. I don't know what they are. But the point is, for if Max Igan is one of the old guard of this movement, then why would you jump on board with such vigor what those other channels were doing? Whether he immediately jumped on board, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 or 6 months ago. His videos kind of like switched and turned very briefly, and it was like, there's no doubt there's been a mud flood. There's no doubt there's cataclysm here on this earth every 300 or 400 years. He started using the word Tartaria, and I was watching a month or two, or I don't know when it was. Maybe it was like 4 months ago. I don't know. But I remember thinking, Max, why'd you jump on board this stuff so quickly? It's not like he said, I went off and did all my own research. He just, in fact, he used some of the same clips and videos of some of these other channels presenting the quadruple play. They present the quadruple play of Mud Flood, Tartaria, Orphan Children, Ancient Architecture. Again, I'm not trashing those channels. there's some really cool stuff that comes out of especially Conspiracy R Us. I don't know who that person is. I don't know what his role may be. Will remain a skeptic? Of course. Fool me once, of course. So, but their videos are interesting, and certainly it's on the table. I'm not promoting them or condemning them. I'm just sitting back and watching, and that you would think an old guard like a Max Igan would do that. I mean, wouldn't you be skeptical of me if right when this stuff started hitting, I started just going Tartaria, mud flood, blah blah blah, hitting you hard with that? All you said, well, Matt, how the f do you know that? Just because you watch some other videos around YouTube, or now all of history has been hidden and blah blah blah. No, the smart man or woman sits back and observes and takes in all sides. So why would Max spend 30 some minutes trying to convince everybody so aggressively that real people were killed, and even explaining the lady doth protest too much, explaining why you wouldn't see blood because the heart stops, and I actually saw this person who was like, why are you doing that? So it's almost obvious you really, your role here in this video is to really push on us that this must be real. And the presentation, if you don't have to watch it, trust me, I'm characterizing this accurately. It's so obvious. Yes, his agenda in the presentation is to convince us it's real, New Zealand. Why? Okay, why? Why not just say, I think this, I don't know. There was no acknowledgement that they fake everything over here. I don't even want to say all the names and all that. Chuck P again and again and again and again can tell you all about all those. It's way more all about the fake events, and there's way more than the major league stuff that we all know about. There's little stuff that pops up on like the Ohio State campus. Watching that way back when and spending 2 hours or 3 hours on that, I'm going, what is this bull crap? Ridiculous. It's been, I don't. It's just how much of this stuff is faked is really off the charts. Faked. And I'm not even gonna, I'm just, more is fake than than you know. Okay, it's in its nature. We know that. So for Max not to acknowledge that, then two things. If he can't see it, then do we really want to get our truth there? No. And worse, if he has an agenda, do we really want to get our truth there? No. And you combine that with the speaking at Anarchapulco, being asked to be a TED Talk. Again, I don't Ted ain't calling here. It's amazing. No, Jeff Berwick hasn't called, asked Matt, why don't you come to Anarchapulco? Nobody contacts me. Well, nobody contacts me except Greg. And then people email me like, who's this Greg? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, Greg is a friend of mine. And we're both in this truth fight for a long time. Greg has a channel called Exploring the Rabbit Hole. He's been too sick to post, he's just feeling lousy. He has a certain condition. He has to see doctors. He hasn't posted anything. Okay? So, there's one source, one person I know, because we go back a ways. I can bounce stuff off Greg, and he will, if I'm going astray, he will tell me. Okay? And there's people I'm meeting in this community that are also seem like great sources of information and very trustworthy. But outside of this community, I can't express to you how infiltrated and corrupted, just literally, and watch nothing without being skeptical of everything you hear. Really graceful. Seems the only mega channel that I know of where when I click on the video, I really honestly still believe that really graceful or grace is really trying to bring forth her best effort at getting us good information. When I click those videos, I don't immediately say to myself, like I'll do at the Crow House, or I've been doing at the Crow House since all this Tartaria mud flood. I don't. Maybe that's all real. Maybe it is. I'm not bashing that or those channels. I'm just saying we need to be skeptical. We need to just wait a second. Let's see how it unfolds. But I'll listen to, and I'll listen, and maybe that's why I picked up on this, because I listened skeptically to Crow House. But so really graceful? No, I don't have that skeptics. We should always have the skeptic hack, but it's not like on real tight. I can sit there and enjoy my Wawa tuna sub as I'm listening to really graceful, and not be like trying to hang on every word, saying, is she trying to mislead? I believe now if it's obvious she's going to mislead, then we'll catch it. But I don't have that same skepticism with really graceful. Okay. It's the only mega channel. I don't know what she has, 180,000 subs or something like that. It's the only mega channel that I don't have that. And then there's other channels that I've just completely abandoned because, like I'm pretty much abandoning Crow House here. Once you do something so egregious, like SGT report and the constant pushing of Trump for year and a half, and the constant waiting for Q to save us, and there's just, these are potentially channels that we thought were friendly. I'm not talking about something that's just a ridiculous clown show like Alex Jones. That, yeah, we all were probably on that farm for a while. I was on that farm for a while. But yeah, we moved past those clown shows years ago. I'm not talking, Lionel Nation was on a radio show here in Philadelphia, a morning show, a conservative morning show, the same radio station that hosted Rush Limbaugh from, what's he on? Was on noon to 3, I guess, if I remember. I've been on all those farms. I've been there. I admit it. I admit it. So I'm talking about, we see through all those clown shows. I'm talking about channels like, just even recently, we really thought was on our side of truth. And I don't know. Like, I don't know if anybody's left, to be honest with you. I still do trust Sophia Smallstorm. I don't know if she has a big channel. You know the name. She's been doing this stuff for a long time. I've spoken to her personally. I trust Sophia Smallstorm. I don't know what she's been working on the last year and a half or so. But other than that, it's just really, really, I feel kind of like, remember that scene in Braveheart where a battle towards the end, Robert the Bruce is on the wrong side. He's wearing the helmet, and I guess Mel Gibson, during the battle, he thought Robert the Bruce was on his side. He kind of rips off the helmet, and it's the Bruce. And Mel Gibson at that point, he just resigns himself and just sits down in the muddy field, and he kind of looks up with a look of hopelessness, and just said, I can't do it anymore. I can't believe that the last person he would think I thought he would say that I thought was on my side, betrayed right to the end, even by the last people who I thought I could trust. Braveheart would say they just looked up at him with that look of hopelessness. I'm not quite there, but it is kind of like that. Don't trust anybody. I'm just repeating myself. Don't trust anybody, guys. And I'm sorry, the first 50 chapters of the book are incredible negative. The fraud of this world must be seen before we can be convinced. Everyone can be convinced this is a fraudulent construct that's dying for our attention and our participation. We need to see it, and then we can move on from it. So it's not backtracking. That is what the first portion of the book is. It's seeing the fraud of this reality construct. The second part is moving beyond it. We're not at that part yet.